Okay, let's call this meeting to order. First of all, staff, roll call.
Attendance noted.
Okay, thank you. Approval of the minutes for the regular planning commission meeting on August 11th.
Just one note before the motion. I'm almost certain that Commissioner Root did not move to close the meeting. So I don't know who it was, but I move that we accept the minutes with that correction, whatever it might be.
Okay, any other adjustments? Okay. No, is it kind of a motion then, please?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Okay, opportunity for citizens to talk to the commission for things that are not on the agenda. Seeing none, we will move on to the public hearings. Item number 1 is consider a request for conditional use permit and variance for a building addition and reduced parking setback at 7514 Lindale Avenue, Broadway Pizza. Staff?
There we go. Hello. The building at 7514 Lindale Avenue is home to 2 businesses, Broadway Pizza and Dunn & Semmington Printing and Design. Patty Sturbuck, building owner and operator of Broadway Pizza, is requesting approval of a conditional use permit that would allow her to reapportion the interior building space in order to expand the restaurant. This expansion would repurpose approximately 475 square feet of current tenant space as expanded dining area, an additional 32 seats, and a small office. The proposal also includes construction of a new ADA-compliant entryway and expanded waiting pickup area. The total proposed increase in overall building square footage is 88 square feet. No changes to the kitchen or kitchen equipment or the existing dining areas are proposed. In order to accommodate the proposed remodel, the applicant is required to provide an additional 4 parking spaces, and also to attempt to improve other non-conforming site characteristics like landscaping, screening, and impervious surface. The proposal includes the addition of 5 parking stalls. 3 of the 5 parking stalls are along the edge of the alley and require a variance to reduce the required setback. Staff believes that the proposed site plan meets the requirements of the zoning code and the CUP, or the zoning code for the CUP and the variance. I'm just going to go over a couple of things with you. Most of the details of these requirements are highlighted in the attachment to your report, and hopefully you have reviewed those. With the exception of the requested parking setback variance, all criteria necessary to issue the CUP have been met in staff's opinion. And in evaluating a request for a variance, the Planning Commission and Council must consider compliance with all of the 6 criteria outlined in that attached document. Staff does support the requested variance based on a review of those criteria. The zoning code incorporates a number of measures to help existing non-conforming businesses and structures to improve and expand. Where building modifications result in an increase of less than 50% of the original square footage, additional parking is required only for the new or modified part of the development. In this case, the requested changes require the addition of 4 parking spaces. The requirement can be met with a variance for the parking lot setback along the alley. Alternative landscaping and screening plans may be approved where, due to existing structure placement, lot dimensions, parking requirements, etc., it's not possible to provide the landscaping or screening required by the ordinance. The applicant's site is currently 100% impervious, and the existing parking lot extends to property lines on all sides. The applicant has proposed to landscape an area at the southeast corner in order to reduce the overall impervious surface and to provide some landscaping on the site. Bicycle parking will be added, and refuse collection shall be handled entirely inside the building. Just a couple of notes on the variance. The applicant's requesting a variance that would allow a reduction of the required parking lot setback to 0. In this case, the actual paved area of the parking lot extends 4 feet beyond the property line. I'm just going to scan ahead here, and maybe on the overhead camera we can get a site plan so you can see the area that I'm talking about. Just 1 second while we pull that up. Okay, you'll see this is on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll see the alley there at the rear. There are 2 parallel parking spots behind the building and 1 space that is along the southern boundary that will not meet the 3-foot setback requirement. As I mentioned, the parking lot extends 4 feet beyond the property line. You can see that the alley is shown as being in concrete. That's the traveled portion of the alley. It's kind of speckled on your site plan. The asphalt portion is shown just in white. The applicant is proposing to utilize the portion of the parking lot that is on her property, but not that which extends into the public right-of-way. The striped parking stall will be 4 feet from the traveled part of the alley. Strict enforcement of this provision, this 3-foot setback provision, would result in the loss of 3 parking stalls in an area where additional landscaping would really be impractical. The proposed variance will not alter the character of the neighborhood. The striping of these stalls will likely reduce the temptation of drivers to park illegally behind the building and leave cars overhanging the alley. Further, a 3-foot variance is required to allow these 3 code compliant stalls. Now, a variance of 2 feet only would allow for 2 of the 3 parking stalls. The 2 parallel stalls behind the building only require a 2-foot variance. However, as I mentioned before, the additional 3 feet on that western boundary really would not provide any additional, any benefit to the city by requiring landscaping or screening in that area. That concludes staff's report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, the applicant and her contractor are here to answer questions as well.
Okay, does anyone have questions of staff? Okay, did the applicant want to highlight any items for us that might be pertinent? Okay, any questions of the applicants? Okay. Might have to turn on your microphone.
Just to refresh my memory and perhaps everybody else's, I cannot remember ever in your parking lot or around there having any kind of grass or anything like that, even on the boulevard. Is that not correct? I mean, it's always been kind of the impervious. Yeah.
Could you just step up to the microphone just so that the audience could hear as well, please? Thank you.
Is it on? Yeah. No, just the front of the patio, we have shrubs put in there. In the corner of the parking lot, in the front toward Lindale Avenue, the square, will have trees and bushes in it now.
Right.
I have also in front where we got a variance for the sign, I have bushes there and flowers in that one too.
Right. And then it was how many years ago that the trees were planted in front, and didn't those also?
About 20 years now.
Yeah, and that they didn't grow up quite as high as everybody wanted to. That kind of blocked some of the signage, did it not?
Badly.
Yeah.
Badly.
So,
I planted different flowers around the trees out in front just to give it more foliage look.
yeah.
Some hostas and
Melissa's characterization that this really wouldn't alter what you have there now
No.
is almost kind of an understatement. It just isn't going to change much at all. I personally see no issue or problem with this request.
Okay. Any other comment or questions, comments? Okay, I'd ask for a thank you.
thank you very much.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Close to public hearing is what I was going to say, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Seconded.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Discussion.
Aye.
Okay, hearing none, I guess ask for a motion.
I move the staff recommendation.
I will second that.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion after that? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Easy. Okay, moving on to new business. Item number 2 is consideration of a resolution finding the sale of remnant properties along Richfield Parkway to adjacent landowners is consistent with the Richfield comp plan. Staff.
Thank you. The establishment of Richfield Parkway as a vehicular and greenway corridor extending from the city's northern border is an identified goal of the comprehensive plan. The area has been identified as a future greenway since the adoption of the Cedar Avenue Corridor Master Plan in 2004. The construction of the Richfield Parkway connection in 2013 between Bloomington and 17th Avenues contributed to that goal. The city purchased 3 properties for right-of-way as part of the project. Actually, they purchased more properties. The 3 in question tonight are 6245 Bloomington, 6301 Bloomington, and 6300 16th Avenue. The alignment of the new right-of-way created remnants for 6245 and 6301 Bloomington. Those remnants are larger than what the city has determined is necessary for long-term right-of-way needs. The property owners adjacent to these remnant parcels at 6239 and 6305 Bloomington Avenue approached the city with an interest in purchasing a portion of the remnants. The property owners have signed purchase agreements for those parcels. Minnesota state statute requires that whenever any public agency buys or sells property within the city, the Planning Commission must review the proposal for consistency with the Richfield Comprehensive Plan. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff?
You know what? I don't know the specifics of their plans. I'm sorry. No, I don't believe it's additions to the houses. I believe it's just more yard space that was wanted, but I cannot say for sure. We'd have to check. I don't even know if they disclosed those details to the Public Works Department or if they just asked if they could purchase.
Okay. Tom, turn on your microphone, please.
Would you anticipate any issues if, as Susan said, they were to want to use this property for additions or anything like that?
Well, the amount of property that they are purchasing that you can see on here, it would allow them to potentially add more onto the side of their houses, but the remnant areas are so small that they're not going to build on into that area. That would be required setback, but it could certainly allow them to bump out farther than they would be able to without it.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, hearing none, ask for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, any second?
Seconded.
Okay, second. Who got the second, Tom or Susan? Doesn't matter. Tom.
We'll have Josh second.
Yeah, Commissioner Root.
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Okay, no old business. Liaison reports, Community Services Commission.
The Community Services Commission is, I think the last time I already reported on their new playground equipment and so on, so I don't have any other further report. I have to think about that for a moment.
Okay, any updates on the City Council that you want us to know? Anybody? Nobody. Okay. Oh, that might be, never mind. HRA.
So my turn. Sure. Excuse me. The HRA met on September 15th. They had a joint work session with the City Council to hear a presentation on discrimination in housing and education policy. In addition, there's a presentation on HRA tax increment financing, a status update, as well as an adoption of the 5-year Public Housing Authority Plan for Section 8, Housing Assistance.
Thank you. Transportation Commission? No report. No report. Chamber of Commerce?
In addition to having a great golf outing in the last couple of weeks, there's going to be a great, really good program this Wednesday where it's the needs of the workforce and aligning education to those. There's going to be some panelists from the Minnesota Life College, Hennepin Technical College, Minnesota School of Business, and the Richfield Public Schools. There'll be a panel discussion moderated by the Chamber. There's a Richfield Professional Women Car Care Tip meeting at RB Mitsubishi on 10/14. A power breakfast with speaker CJ Coolidge the 4 new rules for increasing profits and creating a lasting competitive advantage at City Hall on 10/23. Posters on Board is celebrating 30 years with a ribbon cutting on 10/23. The 4 Points by Sheridan is celebrating a remodel and a new Lindale Smokehouse restaurant with a ribbon cutting on 10/29. And there's a new member social at Vinacopia at some point in October.
Very good, a lot going on, nice to see. Any other?
Oh, go ahead.
Tom?
I want to call attention to what occurred at the farmers market last Saturday and point out that Commissioner Rosenberg and Jabs and myself showed up, represented the Planning Commission valiantly, and just smoked the HRA by default because they didn't show up to do the Surrey races. The other I'd like to point out is that we got done with just on Sunday with PennFest. And that has now become, I think, a true community event. Many of the businesses along the way were participating, and others from within the outside the Penn and 66 area came over. Lake Winds was one, Peace Coffee, and so on. But I want to point out that PennFest does not occur in and of itself. It just does not happen. And that there is an extraordinary partnership that was forged with those of us in the Penn Central area and the Recreation Department, notably Jim Topitzhofer and Ann Yindra, who tirelessly both work at the administrative part of that event and encouragement for us to continue that effort. It's a wonderful little framework that we've been able to establish, and that event is attended by literally thousands of people. The estimate that we had from the police department through Jim was about 7,000 people. And the weather was almost perfect. And none of us can take credit for that, but it just shows that community events can happen and make areas vibrant. So I want to extend my thanks to the city in particular for helping with that event.
Very good. One note of interest from my standpoint is on October 5th over at the high school, there'll be a tribute to the arts, to the performing arts, put on by the task force that's working on the band shell of Vets Park. And it's a free event. A lot of great things going on from 2 to 5 on October 5th. It's Sunday. The Vikings aren't on. So it's a great day to come over there and support some of our local artists that are there, as well as it's a fundraiser for additional things we need for the band show. So that's a good thing. And then also on October 8th, that's at the Municipal Center here, the task force will have an open house to show preliminary plans for the band shell. So everybody's invited to participate in that, and hope you come. Anything else? Okay, then staff, city planners report.
I just wanted to give you an idea of some things that might be coming up for us. Tomorrow night, if you have not read through the packet, the council packet, the council will consider a first reading and a resolution to put a 6-month moratorium on medical marijuana dispensaries. As you know, the legislature this year passed a new law allowing medical marijuana distribution and manufacturing. And we have had a couple of inquiries here in Richfield, and so we think that it's prudent to step back, have a planning process, talk about where these uses might be best fit in the community. And so they're going to consider a first reading of that tonight or tomorrow night. We will also then likely hold a study session to discuss that with you and the council. That is tentatively scheduled for October 28th. So just something to keep on your tentative calendar.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Move for adjourn.
Okay, there's a move to adjourn and there's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you.